Guys, here we go. Episode number 7, Chris Opdyke Show. Today I have Paul Alvear and Matt Strout, partners at Relentless Fitness and Training. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
I just want to say once again, I appreciate when my guests come in because I know you guys are super busy. It's Friday night, like 10 o'clock. We're in the studio right now. But I do appreciate it because without you guys coming in, right, there's no show.
We definitely appreciate the experience.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys coming in. So you guys kind of connected as little kids, family, friends, went to separate middle schools, but you still played like Little League in town together. Mm-hmm. And then you came back to one high school, right? And active in sports, right? Always kind of were one of those kids that did the extra stuff. So kind of like coaches liked you a lot.
Yes.
And part of that was working out.
Yes.
And then you kind of started liking the workout piece just as much as the playing ball piece. And that's how you kind of started with that power in the pines, doing stuff in the backyard. So just talk a little bit about your backgrounds. I know you were, the athletic training piece or the VOTEC, and you got your training through there.
Correct.
And Paul, you jumped around to college a little bit and stuff like that. Yeah. So Matt, you start off with, how you got involved with the VOTEC and all that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, I think for me, I definitely grew up around the fitness industry. So my dad, he was involved in gyms when I was young, growing up. Before I was even born, he was involved in gyms. But then growing up when I was young, I always had a nice gym set up in my basement, and I kind of grew up being around it. I would always come home. My dad worked out every night. His buddy would come over, and I would just kind of be down there, hanging around, watching, not necessarily heavily involved in it.
Right.
We all go through those awkward phases where you're a little extra, you have a couple extra pounds on, you don't know how to use your body, you're a little uncomfortable, a little awkward. And for me, I also grew up, I'm a mama's boy, and I still am, but I think along the way, that can alter you a little bit in a sense of just being maybe sensitive in a sense like that, and getting out into the world. There's different people, so it's rough out in the world. People can be rough with different bullying and different stuff like that. So
yeah.
I think along the way, feeling those different things, I think working out was a great shift for me and an outlet to help build confidence, build strength in myself, and be able to build up a little bit of self-confidence. A little bit of self-confidence and direction in a sense, like almost like finding something for myself. Mm-hmm. So from there, once I kind of started, it kind of just kept rolling from there, and it just became a part of my life. Like you said, I did grow up playing different sports, whether it be Little League, basketball. I transitioned to playing some football as well in high school. But fitness really found me. I feel like that was like my calling in a sense. And then with the vocational program in high school that was brought to us, it was a newer program in a sense that led into my junior, senior year, which was really allowed me to take it to a different level, where I was really allowed to take it to the educational side of it and learn about it. I would go to the vocational school. There would be times where, part of the school, you were in a classroom setting learning about exercise science, program design, the body, kinesiology. And then the other part of the time that you would be in a gym, and we had a gym attached to it, and we were able to learn how to use everything and work out. So for me, it was like a heaven for me. I got to go there. I was in school half my day, and then the other half I was in there. So it really, really worked well for myself and the way that my brain worked, my body worked, my mind.
Yeah, it was your thing.
It harnessed me. Yeah. I think as well, when that was happening, I think I was also going to the local gym in my town, and without like subconsciously, without knowing it in a sense, like there was a lot of people that would just like have questions, and like I kind of always like looked like I knew what I was doing, like I always had a plan because I did.
Yeah.
And without knowing it, people come over and be like, hey, like what are you doing? Can you help me out? So like, even then, like thinking back.
Right, you were just going to the gym, but you were helping.
I was going to the gym, but I was helping people. I was coming up with different workouts, showing them what to do. If I saw them doing something, I'd go over and be like, hey, why don't you try it this way? Maybe you'll like, And it just kind of started snowballing in a sense from there for me. And I'm just like, wow, this is my thing.
You figured out that was your thing.
Yeah.
So you guys kind of were working out in high school a little bit, and then one of the guys that, you worked out with, Dad had the backyard set up with the wheelbarrows and the tires. and all that stuff. And once you and Paul kind of went over there, kind of the light bulb went on a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's a funny story, a quick little backstory about how we met in a sense. It's funny because when we were really young, I had close family friends to us that lived in St. Thomas that my family used to visit often, and it ended up being Paul's close family, like his uncles, his cousins, like family cousins. So we're like basically in like 5th, 6th grade. We go to like a mutual event, and we go to see one of the brothers was playing in a semi-pro football league. So here we are. We get to have this great experience. At halftime, we get to go on the field. We're like going through this cool experience, and we ended up both being there. So now here we are with our families, all these people, and then there's another kid the same age. So what do we start doing? We start playing. We're throwing the ball around, and we're getting along. We just became like friends in a sense. Now, like you said earlier, at the time and still now, there's 2 middle schools in Jackson. So we both went to different middle schools. But the cool part is that we ended up meeting at one Jackson Memorial High School, right? So at that time, he had a crew of his friends in a sense from one, and I had a little crew from my school. We came together and we all kind of started, mixing together, and we all became friends. So now, coming back to the original question that you said, freshman year, we also get another kid who comes from another town, Scott Winston, who was born and bred to be a great wrestler, and he did what he set out to do in Jackson High School. But something cool that he brought to the table when we went to his house one day to work out. So, like, another thing that you said earlier is we like to do that extra work. Like, we weren't afraid to do some extra things, So here we are doing different stuff, but we meet a new kid, and he's like, hey, come to my house. I want you to check out one of these workouts that I do. So we go to his house, and his father has set up at his house, like, something that we've never seen before. And it was like, big tractor tires, sledgehammers, wheelbarrows with like rock, keg tosses, different like logs, just like old school, like being strong, like being able to move your body around and being able to move awkward, uncomfortable objects. So we go there and we hit this, and we're just like, what? Like, this is crazy. This is cool. This is fun. And that was something that started brewing in our minds, which eventually led to us not almost, but we did create our own outdoor training facility at the house that I grew up at, and we called it Pain in the Pines. So I live. It was in the Pinelands, and it was Pain in the Pines, and we were able to create a facility in a sense outside,
basically in the woods.
The woods, But we cleared land. I mean, it was a beautiful looking thing from a couple kids just having an idea in our brain to creating it. Coming together with our friends, like old school chainsaws, cutting trees down, logging them up, moving them out, like. Clearing different debris, moving things around with like old lawnmowers, cutting it up, raking it, blowing it, cleaning it, just like making it the best that we could, So I think that was cool because it brought all of our friends also even closer. Like, it kind of brought us all together even more.
Right. So when you guys built that facility, then people started coming to it, obviously, and then kind of that light bulb went off like, hey, we could kind of turn this into a business.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so we did that throughout high school, and we were able to build a facility towards like the end of high school, leading into like the graduation of our high school, right? And then that's where we kind of, everyone's trying to find themselves in a sense. And like I said, I felt like I almost already found myself, and fitness was my calling. I graduated high school through the program. I was a certified trainer.
Coming out of high school, yeah. I did start taking some classes at OCC at the time, and then a lot of my friends, including Paul, everybody left and went away to different schools. So at that time, it was time for me to, go try to figure it out in a sense. So I went on 2 different interviews. My first one was at Gold's Gym. I just went there, went in, got an interview, did okay, it went well. And the second one that I went to was at Central State Fitness and Wellness Center. And that was like definitely, it was a life-changing experience for me because basically I came in as a young, hungry kid that at the time, and probably still to this day, the requirements in a sense of what they were looking to hire was experience, high-level degrees, high-level certifications. I went in, I'm this young kid, I kind of just like
spoke from my heart. I was full of passion. I just wanted to help people, and they were intrigued by that in a sense. And I think they kind of gave me a shot. They're like, all right, look, we're going to give you a chance. They gave me like a 30-day trial to like be there, work the floor, talk to people, and just see what could happen from there.
Yeah.
And I just kind of did my thing. I said, look, I got an opportunity. I'm going to go after it. I'm going to go do the best that I can with this chance that I have. And I just gave it my all. So during that time, I was just talking, creating different contacts, networking. The 30 days are up. You know, long story short, I ended up getting the job, and I worked there for just about 4 years.
And back then when that started, that was like the first kind of, the Central State was kind of like the first kind of like total wellness place around here. Everything else before that was kind of just like your Gold's Gym, your powerhouse. That was the first place that was the wellness center.
Yes. And that's why I think, too, it was like a blessing in a sense, because the people that I was surrounded with were very, very educated and experienced people. And when I went in, when I got my chance, I kind of looked around, I surveyed, and I was also blessed. Out of 6 clubs that they had at the time, there was probably like 30 to 35 trainers at each club. I was blessed to have the number 1 trainer at my club in all the clubs. He was the best. His name was Joe Ortega, and he's like one of my main gurus who really taught me a lot, and I credit him still to this day. I talk about him. I hold him at a very, very nice place for me. And I kind of found him, saw him, and I'm like, I want to be better than that guy. Yeah. You know, I saw the first guy, and just like, I want to be the best. And I went in, and we shook hands, we became friends, and he said, look, you know, I started following him around and just kind of like I shadowed him. It was just like a little dog's tail. I just kind of followed him around. I listened, I asked questions, like, you know, we work out together. Like, it was just a thing, you know. About a year in or so now, I've worked my way up to probably like the number 2 trainer, let's say, in different sales and the ability of the amount of people I'm seeing, the sessions I'm doing, the interaction. So it paid off, you know.
And that's a tough biz a little bit, right? Because you're selling there a little bit, and they want to know every month what
100%.
you do this month, right? 100%. I know, because I had a buddy that used to run a place, and it was, you know, what did you do this month? And then, oh, great month, but okay, well, what did you do this month?
Correct.
So it's a little cutthroat in there.
It is.
And you're 18 years old coming out of high school.
Yes. And I think there's 2 ways you could look at it. So for me at the time, I grew up, you know, with a great work ethic. I come from a hardworking family that's just, you know, we're taught to work hard and you do your job, and nothing's like, that's not my job. Like, we all help out. We're a team. We do what you got to do. If there's a task at hand, let's get it done. You know what I mean? So for me, I looked at it like there's no ceilings. It's commission. Yeah. For me, the ceilings is time. Like, I have to optimize time. So if I could just optimize, I can make as much money as I want. So here I am, 18. You know, I shadowed him for almost a year, and then by that time, it's all starting to come
be
back
your own person in there now.
Correct.
You're not following Joe around.
Exactly. And all the free time that I was putting out, and everybody's like, keep putting the free time. And I'm like, how much free time? Like, what am I doing here? You know, you keep doing it. But it all started coming back now. You start helping people when you really just care. Because like I said, I was doing it because, number 1, I love to do it. And then what I learned through my passion of loving it was all of a sudden now I love what I do, but I was also starting to make some money from it. And the reality is we must, you know, you need to make money to live.
Bills.
Yeah, you got to like make money to live. So what could be better than being passionate and love what you do, and also being able to make an income from it now?
Yeah.
And that was where the lights started really going off in my mind of just like, wow. Like,
right. So you're working, Paul, you're kind of going away to college. Talk about what you were doing, because, you know, you went away, and I think in the beginning you kind of were like on an athletic training route. And you're that, I don't want to say typical, but what happens to a lot of kids in college, they're in college for a year, and all of a sudden they go,
that's spot on,
I don't know if this is really what I want to do. And I had a conversation with a kid who came back to school not too long ago. Well, I just changed my major again. You know what I mean? And that's, I think people need to know that that's okay, like, to change your major. And it's okay to go away to college and realize that's the time to figure it out. Is like, I don't like what I'm doing, and I'm only 19, and I can change it. So just talk about where you went on that path.
So we had just this talk today this afternoon when I dropped you off earlier before we came back over here about how going into school, it's a bigger decision than people think. But at the same time, there's flexibility, So at that time, we went through everything we went through in high school. We were working out at the Pines. We were always doing that extra stuff. We were going to the field when they put the new turf in town, and we were doing our sprints and our agility work. And
right.
I was a big advocate of me and one of our other buddies, Mark, who he played football. I'll never forget. We went and worked out with the girls' track team 2 days a week to get faster. I wanted to work on my speed and my quickness, and we were always doing those things. So, and more importantly, when we got into college, we had our routes and our directions. Like Matt said, we're going our separate ways, but always in touch. And my freshman year, I was playing baseball out at Albright College in Reading, Pennsylvania, and everything was good, and I was just saying this today to Matt. I was comfortable there. I loved the environment. I loved the school. Came into my sophomore year, was getting ready for the next season. School was going good, and then I started having those thoughts, like you said.
Did you have a major when you went?
Yeah, it was a liberal arts school, so it was kind of open. But to me, that was beautiful going into it. I was like, liberal arts school. I could cool. I could do whatever I want. Meanwhile, my parents are co-signing for the loan for $30,000-$40,000 a year, and then that sophomore year, then my brain starts going a little bit. I'm like, what do I really want to do? I'm halfway through college almost. I'm getting there. So I decided at that point to get into athletic training, and I transferred to East Stroudsburg University. I make my way over there for 1 semester. I lasted, and just because it wasn't for me, it wasn't a comfortable place for me. I don't know if you've ever been out there, but it wasn't a comfortable place for me.
Never.
For visiting, it's cool, but it just wasn't where I wanted to be. So I was, like you said, figuring myself out. I landed back at home, living back at home, commuting to Kane University up in Union, and that's where I started to feel comfortable. I was driving up there, and at this time, through college, we were all still coming home on our breaks, and we were training. We were going to Central State. Matt would train us. We would go to the Pines. He would push us through. We would all work out together. Me, Scotty Winston, Mark Bergery, who was with us. We would all make our way back there. We, Christmas break, we would set our workouts up. We'd all be together. So at that point, I'm kind of thinking. I'm very open-minded and creative in my mind, I hence why we're building this business. I wanted to do my own thing, and I like building things. I like creating things. I like planning for things. So at that point, I'm kind of a little comfortable at Kane, but still.
Did you have a major there?
Yeah, athletic training. I stuck with that, going over. Everything transferred over good. I think I was on schedule. I wasn't even behind, which was pretty good for transferring.
Yeah, sure.
So at that point, it's this is around 2011, so it's like my junior year of college, and I'm at Kane, and we start talking, and we're meeting up. Me and Matt, we're meeting up every Friday. I get out of I didn't have class on Friday, so I'll wake up in the morning, get a workout in, do what I had to do my study and my schoolwork, make my way over to Central State, pick him up. We grab a bite to eat. We go over to Johnny B's, the diner. We talk. Me and him are good at talking, and we were game planning for what now is Relentless, but at the time we were trying to build something.
How
we were
old
trying
do you
to create
think you guys
something.
were when that was going on?
Probably like 19, 20, probably like 19 or 20 years old. And then it just started snowballing a little bit. So while this is going on, now I'm really settling in my mind. And I'm like, let me go while I'm at school. Let's not waste all this time and money,
Yeah,
so let me make sure I get something and maybe could get a little experience here that is going to help me towards what we're planning here.
Mm-hmm.
So I start looking into all these majors, and I look up health administration. And you could either go commercial way or you go recreational way. So I decided to go commercial. We're going to plan to open up a facility. We're learning all this stuff. I'm in all these marketing classes. Now my mind starts opening up. I'm having a good time with it.
So now you found it.
Yeah,
it took you a little bit of time, which is okay.
Which is fine, And the best part about it is, he was with me for the whole ride because we were building this at the time. I was okay with it. You know what I mean? I really was. When I look back at it, I figured it out, you know what I mean? There was ups and downs, but I figured it out, So, and I share the story as far as school-wise with everyone, all the clients that come in that are making the decisions to go away to college, that are in college, that are feeling certain ways. I just said it today. I share everything. I have the one book when I went into college, Who Moved My Cheese, about change, right? Simple read, easy read. I hand that out because I know I've been there, and everyone's there in one way or another, and you figure it out, So, that's, through that journey of us always working out and doing those extra things and being around fitness and being around training, sports specific, and getting better. that kind of landed us where we were when we, had the plan to start up and open up a facility, and got us in that direction of what you just said before. We got this thing at the Pines going now. Mm-hmm. Matt's got a great thing going at Central State. Now, what could we do how could we get people to start coming here now? Let's start building something,
Yeah. So you guys are having those, conversations on the Fridays, haircuts and food and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about trying to get some people out to the Pines to actually, they're going to pay and you're going to train them. So one of the things I talk about in here is like everybody has a network, but they really don't know they have a network.
Very good.
They really do. Yeah. Everyone has a network, but they don't think they do. But if you start thinking about it, and I probably didn't realize it before I started the podcast, to be honest with you, like I have a network. But talk about how you guys networked to get, athletes at your Pines facility to actually pay, and you started training them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think one thing to highlight the ability to network, something great. The Pines, when it started, was a smaller style of the Pines. Mm-hmm. And along the journey, and as we start building and growing and we're meeting and we're talking, we knew we needed more, right? We needed more space. We needed it to be bigger. So someone that I met along the way who trained with Joe Ortega was a really, really great man. His name was Bill, and he owned a septic tank company.
Okay.
And, like I said, here I am, young, hungry. I'm kind of telling him different stuff, and he's an entrepreneur himself. He respects the ideas, the mind's always going. So this guy, it was like a blessing, was able to bring one of his excavator machines over for us. We cut a bunch of trees down and we logged them up and moved them out. He brings this machine in just to help us out and clears out a bunch of land for us. Okay, so but the thing that I want you to understand from that is just like the ability to be a good person and just be involved with people and just be there and talk and interact. And I never looked for anything. Mm-hmm. But when I spoke about it, and he's like, hey, if you want, I could probably, help you out. And I'm like, I don't know if I could pull that off. And he's like, dude, just tell me what you want. I'll bring one of my guys over there and take care of it for you. So you're like, what? Like, to run an excavator, I mean, that's pretty expensive. It could be an expensive job. Yeah, you know what I mean? So
we were probably like 19 or 20. I didn't even know what an excavator was.
I didn't even know what it was either.
I thought we were going to chop these trees down.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this dude shows up. We're like, it's a big machine. I'm like, we look at each other like, all right. Like, but I think, too, like, when you watch that go on, you're just like, we looked at each other and we're like, all right, like, this is cool. Like, we got something in motion here now.
Yeah, that's that network opening up.
I think that's to highlight networking for us, kind of showed how important relationships are.
Yeah.
And it's always about, we all talk about Gary Vee, how it's jab, 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 right hook. It's about give, and then ask in a sense. Like, so the ability to not always be looking to take, like, what's in it for me. Mm-hmm. We're both huge people. Like, I'll give you the shirt off my back if you need it, right? Yeah. And I think that's when people are more apt to want to help out or to be a part of it. So I think networking is one of the biggest tools for anyone. And like you said, I think it is something that we all don't always think about that we have, but we really do.
Yeah.
So now getting back to the question is, we were able to reach back now to different people and contexts that we have from when we were in high school, who are now some of people that were like our peers back in the day, but have worked their way up to now coaching, or even some of our past coaches. So we started reaching out to these people saying, hey, we have this really cool space. We'd love to get somebody over here. One of your guys, let's start with one guy. And that's one of the ways that it started with us was we reached out to the coach. At the time was Corey Lavin, who was, is a good friend of ours now
we brought him over.
We brought him over.
We were working him out.
Right.
He was finishing up, and he probably came a couple times when he was in college over at Kings playing ball. When he was home, he's experienced working out with us in conditioning, and we were all pushing each other like nobody else. So, so he felt it. He felt it.
He knew what it was.
Yeah.
And once he got that position as the head coach, now it's like, all right, let's start with the stud. Let's try to get everybody over. Mm-hmm. But there was one kid who stepped up, the leader, and it was Ben Collins, who's still a big part of our movement now. He's actually in the Army. He's an Army Ranger. He's doing well for himself. We're very, very proud of him because he was probably, I don't know, was he a fresh, like...
He was a freshman or sophomore at the time.
Freshman or sophomore, so however old that is. So this kid had no idea what he was getting up into. His coach was like, hey, I need you to step up and come check this out. And he said, all right, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he stepped up, and that was like one of the big beginnings, because now here you have a kid who's experiencing, who went back to tell the rest, you know?
Yeah, that's what I tell everybody. You need one.
You need
Right?
one.
You got to have
It
one
always
to get in
starts with
there.
one. It
and
really
then
does.
It snowballs, right?
Yeah.
It really does. And from there, you know, that kind of led us to then working with the football team. And the football team, we started doing that, whether it be the team or small groups of the team. Then we transitioned, and Paul played baseball, so he had a really good connection with the baseball coach, Mr. Molto, back then, who still is. Yeah, still doing his thing.
He's actually coming in at the end of next month.
Oh, all
nice.
right.
He's coming at the end of next month.
Very nice. And we were able to reach out to a couple different contacts through him. Mr. Caruso, he was a great contact for us as well with the lacrosse kids.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of started dabbling to these different people, different coaches, teachers, and reached back out. And, you know, one of the coolest things that we were able to do was with the lacrosse. I mean, it's all really cool, but with the lacrosse team, Mr. Caruso allowed us to come into the school and pitch it to the team.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a sick experience for us, because here we are.
You
we're
got to
young.
sell yourselves a little
Yeah,
bit.
we had to, like, you know, he's like, all right. He said, come into the school. I'm going to have the kids there. It was the after school program that they had to come to, basically.
The first meeting of the year.
The first meeting of the year, right. So he kind of said what he had to say, and he's like, all right, here's these guys. They're going to offer a program leading up to the season if you want to get some extra work in. And he's like, all right. And we're like, so now here's all these kids, and we're just like, all right, well, this is what we're doing. And we kind of just, you know, like you said, we had to like sell ourselves in a sense. You know, we had to kind of, what do we have to give to you guys, you know? And it really went well. It did, you know? I think always, and still to this day, we're still driven by it, but our mindset has shifted a little bit as we've evolved. But it's always been just about passion. Like it's been, we love fitness. We love making people better. We love competing. We both love to compete, you know? And we whether it's just in a sporting event, I mean, now, like we always like to say, one of the phrases that we say around the gym is we train for life. Like now, life is our biggest competitor. You know, like we used to try to set marks in sports in the gym. We still do here and there, but it's more like, how can we influence the world now? Like now, that's like where we shifted to as competitors in a sense on our journey. But you know, I think. I think it's just amazing what you could do when you like you said, like you don't know till you really go out.
You gotta go try
in a sense.
You gotta go try it.
But you're constantly. We all have that voice in our head where you're just like I want to do this, but then you're like, nah, you can't do that. You're not good enough. Like we all have that. Like it goes on. You just gotta be like, nah, like you just go try it. Like take that step and go give it a shot. And that was like the start in a sense of the pine starting to brew. So we had that in a sense. I was still working at Central State, and we were working those in. And I think when I was working at Central State, what started happening, I had a great boss who really, he did great things for me. He taught me a lot about the business side as well as training as well, but just business and numbers and leadership and building a team in a sense, to the point where I started working a lot with the newer people and helping them build and grow.
Yeah.
But that's when the brain started really going too. So now here I was succeeding in a sense of what I set out to do there. But I was also helped building this team. But I also had this other side thing going on now where we connected much more. And then my brain starts going, and I'm like, I'm doing all this for them, but we could do this for us. You know? And that's where like the next level of this is when it really started coming together, I think, because of the shift he was making, the knowledge and wisdom that he was getting. We're taking it from school and from the books in a sense. I had a little bit of the street going on and interacting, and we kind of were able to put that all together into the next step.
Yeah, you made a good team, right?
We really did.
So
it is about teammanship, yeah.
Yeah, so you had the Pines thing going on. You're still working your job at Central State, but now you're starting to think, listen, let's kind of maybe get our own place, right?
Correct.
So talk about now you're starting to think about opening up that first place, and you have some space over in Marlboro is where your first place was. So talk about getting ready to open up that place and the process of just getting a small gym ready as 20-year-olds at the time, 21-year-olds?
Around that time. I mean,
20.
at first, you know, like he said, you have all different thoughts. I mean, for me, it was a little bit different because I wasn't even in really that world yet. You know, I wasn't really working it. I was still in school.
Yeah, you were in that school mode.
So I was kind of, and to this day, we joke about it all the time. I was kind of like his his, I guess if you want to call it like the devil's advocate, like I was that like voice for him, like, and to this day we joke around about it. He'll throw 100 ideas in there, which is great. It's highly encouraged, and I'm the one that helps him like foster it a little bit. And I could get like that too, but mainly, that's the way our relationship goes. But so at that time, I'm almost like, obviously never shooting anything down. I'm with him, but like I'm kind of like just playing all the scenarios. Like, well, if we went this route, this is what would happen. We got to think about this, then we have to think about that. That's not real. This is real. So I'm up at school and I'm learning really about the structure of things. I'm learning about the all the aspects of it, from
the behind the scenes,
kind of stuff, and not even like financial stuff. I'm just learning about the marketing and the advertising and the who we're targeting and what's possible and what comes with getting the space and the overhead and all that stuff, and I think, at that point, what the decision was we're going to start, and it happened so fast, it was probably over a matter of like a month or so, like at the end of 2011. So I'm in my junior year, and we're starting to think of how we're going to get into that space you're talking about, and the first option was this place in Manalapan, actually, that ended up not working out. It was Pension Road, and the story is kind of simplified, is that we went through everything to get it up and going. We started reaching out to all our contacts. We had two guys that we partnered up with that were opening up the gym with us at the time, and it fell through. Talking about running into kind of the first time 2 months into what we're trying to do, of feeling like failure. Like, what do we do now? We had this place set up. We start painting it. We start making it nice. We're over there all hours of the night. We're getting ready to launch. We're creating our schedules. We're creating our pricing. We're creating everything. And to find out, it didn't pass the CO, right?
The landlord didn't file the CO properly, so we weren't zoned to run the type of business that we wanted
to run out of that facility, out of that building.
Mm-hmm. So we're like, and at the time too, we're like, wait, what does that mean?
You guys don't know, right?
Yeah, and the guy's like, you can't
open your business.
Yeah, you can't open your business. We're like, what? Like, we look at each other, and
we don't even have a business yet. No.
Yeah, we don't have it yet. And at this point, to highlight that a little bit more, is we are truly all in. So like, the two people that we got involved with were people that were very close to us at the time. We, over the years, we did grow apart in different ways, but they did. I think everything has to happen for a reason. They did play major roles in our lives, and I appreciate everything that has ever happened, because, I like to say almost that, especially one of them, he really believed. I believe that he saw something in me, but before I saw it in myself. Right. He really believed that I could do this on my own, in a sense. And I to talk numbers just gently, like, I was like 19, let's say, at the time at Central State, and I was making almost like $70,000 at the time, doing what I love to do. So here I am, and I didn't have a lot of bills. I was living, I was having fun, But I knew that there was something bigger for me. Like, I knew it was something more. So even though I was making, like, it's good, it's a good amount of money. Don't get me wrong, but
a lot of people would like to make $70,000.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. But I just knew, like, it just, the setting wasn't right. The intent of the way that it was coming from the corporate world down, it wasn't for the people. Yeah. The gym turned for the quantity based, and we really wanted to bring back the quality based gym industry. And these guys that we got involved with, our friends, I mean, they believed in us, and one of them, he ended up leaving and going away to the Army. And when he left, he kind of helped us get our feet under us, in a sense, and that's when we got this place going, right before he left. So now we're getting this place going, he leaves, then we get this call, no go. So at the same time, Central State kind of caught on along the way, and it's not funny, but I was called in on Christmas Eve that December, and I basically had a really nice talk with my boss, and we respect each other as men, but I was basically forced to resign on that spot.
Right.
Because of business and different things, and they kind of, I guess they kind of knew. I mean,
they knew
I was caught off guard a little bit.
They were afraid you're going to take their people, right?
Yeah, in a sense, right. So I guess before it got too far, they wanted to cut it off. Yeah. So here I am, Christmas Eve, I get a call, I go in. I'm like, all right, so, I'm a big family guy, so I leave, I do family stuff, and I show up with everything with a smile on my face, I tell nobody. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Next day, I'm like, all right, here's the deal. I don't have a place no more, and we're going full speed ahead now.
Yeah.
And this is where we're like, let's go. So now we get this place, pension, we're rolling pension, then that happens, and now we look at each other and we're like, what? Like, what do we do now?
Yeah, like, what do we do now? We don't have anything.
So at that time, our partner, Jordan, who was in the military, he had a place before he left, which was a studio place in Marlboro on 79. His old place back in the day. Sends us the landlord's number. We call this person out of nowhere. It ends up being open. We are like, all right, we're going to come there. We meet with the people. It's like 1,100 square feet. We're like, boom, we'll take it. It's actually the oldest, most original church in Marlboro. It's like a historic building. We go in. Now, also, so we painted the old place and had all of our stuff, in a sense. Like, we had, like, the office set up. But all of our equipment that we ordered was being brought by, like, tractor trailers. Like, a lot of stuff was coming to that location. So we had to, like, it was en route. We had to, like, reroute this
It's, like, on the way.
It's, like, on the way. We did all this in, like, a couple days. Like, it was, like, days, you know what I mean, where we were able to transfer over. And we were able to move over to this new place now in Marlboro. And now we're, like, we rerouted everything. Everything's coming. We're going there. We paint everything. We start doing everything. Because we're trying to open. We have these people waiting. And it's, now, mind you, it's also, like, January, February. So the Pines, it's wintertime. It's cold out.
You can't use
so
that.
We can't really use it. It's not as active as it was, you know? So we're kind of like, we got to get rolling. So now we're officially in this place. Here we are now in Marlboro. We get our stuff. We're there. And we start rocking. We start rolling. We start kind of just figuring it out now. We did our insurance. Now, here we are. We have to get insurance. That's a funny story, too. Our first insurance policy.
Yeah. We're learning all that stuff where, you know, you're dealing with different kind of people. Now we're a little outside of our network. And, you know, that was the fun part. But that when we got through those things, like the first incident with the CEO and all that, that gives you a little more, like, you know, a little more like we're good, like we could keep doing this stuff, you know what I mean? And once you get rolling, you learn from it. You know, you learn from everything. You know,
if the no CO like a couple days before you're going to open, if that, you know, you can get over that bump, right?
Yeah.
There's not too much bigger than that's going to happen
in that moment, especially. You know,
Yeah.
so it was definitely we always harp on those learning experiences along the way. You know.
Yeah.
I think, too, that this is where a shift was taking place for us, because I said earlier how we were always driven by passion and the love of fitness and helping people and making people better. This is where the true shift started taking place for us entering business.
Right.
And being, you know, now we're becoming, you know, as they call us, entrepreneurs in a sense, you know, like now we're doing it all for ourselves.
You're 20-somethings owning your own business.
You're 20. You haven't even turned 21 yet. So, like, we're just around the time of about to turn 21, and meanwhile, the general time you turn 21, you start going out, you start partying, and here we are, like, we're working, going in early, leaving late. Like, we went out here and there, and in the beginning, we dabbled with it a little bit more, and then after a while, we both kind of said to it, like, we can't be doing this.
You don't have the time.
We don't have the time, and also, like, we are the product. Like, we can't be showing up tired and hungover and like nobody wants it. They're coming here for us, like, to bring the juice. Like, they're coming here because they don't got it. So we got to have it. You know what I mean? So it teaches you sacrifice. It teaches you how to really understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and to be true to yourself. Like,
and two, it's a little easier when it's yours, right? It's a lot easier if it's yours to get up earlier, to stay a little bit late. You're kind of not working for the corporate guys anymore. You're working for yourselves. So you're at that location, at your first location now, for like 4 or 5 months, and it kind of really starts to pop a little bit. So after that 4 to 5 months, and you see it's starting to happen for you, what do you start thinking then?
Yeah, we need more space. You know, we start to roll a little bit. We're hosting classes out of there. We have a nice class schedule. You know, Matt coming from Central State, you know, from my perspective, you know, I was like, what's next for all of us? You know, because he was taking a lot of clients on. He had his following from over there. We had a good transition. Now we're all running these classes together. It was funny because we're at that time, like, we're trying to get our product out there. And we're only doing 2 classes a day. It was like a 9:15 in the morning class and a 6:30 at night class. So what were we doing all day? We don't know. We were figuring stuff out. You know, we were honestly, now that we look at it, that was the time that we were like, doing all the other stuff. We were setting up our Facebooks, and we were setting up our marketing. Now we're looking to find time to do that, which we find it, but like now we're like, well, man, we wish we could go back and have all that time. But then again, we wish we don't, because we wouldn't be busy, you know.
Right.
So you figure 9:15 to 10:15 we have a class, and then we don't have another class till 6:30 at night. We had huge classes. We were having like 40, 50 people classes. We were all teaching it together. But the energy was there. The passion was there. We were basically all delivering the product together. And then along the way, we all started, you know, our team, everyone we were bringing on board some friends, some people from the outside world that came in to work for us. We start building our clientele too. Matt starts teaching us. He starts, you know, we're shadowing him. We're learning. We're learning on our own too. We're getting our own certifications out there. We're building up our own little businesses inside the business. And at that time is when we talked about bringing something else to the table, which we created supervised training. And when we were in Marlboro, that's when it started taking off. And we knew not only for the classes told us we needed more space, but this product we were delivering now of supervised training, which is where we create custom workouts for every person that walks through the door, which is our product, that our main membership we still deliver today. We knew we needed a better place for these people. We knew we needed more space. We knew we needed new equipment. We needed to separate the classroom and the where all that weight training was happening and that training was happening. That's when we started looking for Manalapan, the next stop, you know.
And I think too, at the same time, we were also optimizing time. Because the supervised training that he's talking about, it allowed people to come in whenever they wanted and not for the set classes.
Yeah.
So now here we are with this time. We had too much time almost. So it's like we started optimizing the time.
Right.
And that was a big move, you know.
That was a step towards our mission, though, because
Correct.
we knew we wanted to help people. We knew we wanted to do the right thing for people. We wanted to get that quantity based out of the industry, and we want to work towards quality. And that was us figuring out how we were going to do it, and that was us bringing the quality base back, and knowing, and to this day, every person that walks through that door is in a good way. They're being looked after. They're in a class. They're being helped out with a one-on-one instructor and personal trainer. They're being helped out, or with the supervised training, they're being supervised. So nobody that came through our door, that was we said, how are we going to help everyone that walks through this door and not charge them out the wazoo, and not charge them $20 a month for them not to show up.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Find that sweet middle spot.
You got to find like the happy spot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And really what we were doing too was we were decreasing the risk of injury by really taking control of everything that took place under our roof, and we were increasing results.
Yeah.
So basically it was just simplification of what needed to happen and what was going on. Like really trying to figure out like how can we eliminate every reason why people are being deterred from fitness, why they're being why they're getting hurt, why they don't know what to do. You know, because at the time and still to this day, the common thing is like you get motivated, you want to get a little bit better. You start going to the gym. You do a little bit of this, you do a little bit of that, and your intent is good. You have great intention, but you know it's truly science. The body's a science.
Sure.
It needs to have a plan. It needs to be put together. It needs to change throughout. You need to build some consistency, and then you need to change. You need to challenge, right? So you have these people that are doing it, and they go for maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, and they're not really getting any better, and they start getting discouraged, and most of the time they give up, they quit. And they end up keep paying their membership. So these big facilities are like, yeah, whatever. They're upset. They're not getting better. And then there we are, right? So it's like, how could we try to simplify this down to the point where and this is the way it works now, is all of our members have to do, the only thing they have to do is show up. And we even stay on them for that. We're very big on accountability and staying in touch, networking, being in touch with people. If they show up, though, we got them. And they know that, you know, and that's something that really separates us from the rest, from the pack, you know?
So you have that Marlboro location, and now you need that more space. Talk about the move you did when you went from Marlboro to that first Manalapan space that was like 15, 16.
That was pretty cool. Yeah, we going back to the network. I mean, as simple as it was, we got all the boys from the football team, lacrosse team, anyone that wanted to come in and take part, and we took care of them on the other end. We said, hey, listen, everyone come. We're going to get a truck from Seasonal World. Our buddy Chris over there, he came with a box truck. I don't know if Tony, if they knew it or not, but he had the box truck. He backed that thing up to Marlboro. We loaded everything in, and we turnkey overnight.
Yeah.
We brought it
Friends
over.
came through.
Yeah, all our friends, our family, anyone that could get all hands on deck.
Mhm.
We loaded up that truck. Sunday, we had it in there Saturday night, and Sunday we went in and we set the place up. Monday morning, we were operating in Manalapan at Andy Plaza, and it was our next step. You know, it was bringing all of our services we created now, and just getting better at it, and start delivering in a new and a fresher environment. You know, in a new area. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
1,600 square feet, little upgrades, more
Right.
space, different layout.
yeah.
How long before you outgrew that facility?
1 year.
So 1 year, and now you're thinking, where are we going to go next?
Yeah.
So kind of talk about that a little bit. Like, you just moved and you're there a year. Are you kind of thinking like, did we do the right thing moving? Like, we've only been here a year, and now we kind of got to go on again.
I think more so it
Or
was
were you
like
just excited? Like,
I
yes, we got to
think
move
we were
again?
just rolling there, Manalp, and I think that's when we took a lot of big steps of growth with our clients, and that's when we were at that point. We thought we were busy with big classes. Now everything was taken off. The training, we were just busy in general. We had people telling us we should go open more space next door. We should use the Pines more. You know, we should figure something out. You guys should do more. We want to get our teams in here. We had a lot of requests, and at that point we were listening to some, but we were also trying to just figure out how to keep doing what we were doing too, because it was a lot, you know, at the time. And I think in my perspective, Manalapan, it happened fast, because remember, that's when we did turn 21. That's when I was finishing up with school. That's when a lot of things were going on more in our life that business was just it was all getting blended in, and we were just going. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think, in a sense, success. In a sense, we were more successful than we were. But I think sustainable success was what we were striving to be able to.
consistency.
The consistency to be able to sustain, but then go to those next levels. And I think he's 100% right, where we were kind of rolling with it. But it was also a time where, like, with the age change and everything, we also had some people, like, making shifts in their lives and maybe going different ways. And I think at the time, though, like, with something so big like this, like, you got to be in it all the way, you know? And if you're not, like, it's okay. Like, we're still very close with almost just about every single person that has ever been a part of the move. And they might not be with us at all. Like, they don't work with us. They might still work out at the gym. Like, we may just see them in passing, and it's always, like, it's a handshake. Like, so I think it was very challenging, because we're trying to create livelihoods. Like, I think one of the things that we've always been trying to do is create this as a career. This should be more of a career in a sense for people, because there's a lot of people that need help out in the world.
Yeah.
And I think the way that this may be looked at in a sense is not as
It's not the old school gym rat anymore, right?
yeah, it's the overall well-being of human beings, you know.
It's more of a wellness kind of thing.
Yeah, it really is. So I think we were trying to find a way where we could all make some money and live, but also do what we love to do. So now it's just the next level of that, because now we have more space, bigger insurance policy. Like, you're putting out all this money, and you're like, all right, so how do we get to the next level now? So like he said, like, what is our next step? And it was tough. I mean, there was times along the way where we were really questioning, like, what do we do? Like, this is real. Like, this isn't like, you call everybody and be like, oh, like, listen, like, can we pay you next month? Like, this is real world stuff here. Like, nobody, they
don't care.
They don't care.
They
like,
want their money.
They want their money. Everybody wants their money, So there was definitely times where we contemplated, like, I don't think we would ever do it because of the type of people we are, but the fact is, you have to understand that it is real. This could be over at any point. If you don't fight for it every day, it could be over.
Yeah.
So you have to you have to be aware, but you have to keep fighting, and you have to know that it could be real.
That goes to just appreciating and really respecting anything you're doing. You know what I mean? Not only
100%.
what we're doing and our journey, but anything you're going for in life, respecting what you've done and stepping back and assessing it. We call it sober assessment, stepping back and looking at it and really taking it all in, and not taking things for granted. I think that at that point, that's what it was about for us.
Right.
And we really learned that when we got to the end of the road in Manalapan is when we really learned that. And we had some points where we really, really had to think about about if we, not just keep, like you said, it wasn't a question if we're going to keep going, but like we really had to do some thinking,
Yeah. So now the Manalapan facility's taken off, and now you're looking for the bigger facility, and you go to where you are now, Relentless and Freehold. So talk a little bit about making that transition where you realize, hey, listen, we're kind of out of space here. We outgrew it. We're going to go to the next step. We're going to look for some space, and we're going to go from there. So talk about that process a little bit and how it happened.
Okay, so to quickly go back now into our past, when I was shadowing at Central State, I spoke about Joe Ortega, who was a main guru for me in the fitness world, and there was also another trainer there. His name was Sean McCorkle, who really did a lot to help me as well and influence me. At the time, when I got my position there, like I said, I was the young guy following these guys around. Sean trained a couple, a husband and wife, okay? And this husband and wife basically saw me get my job, saw me shadow, and saw me start building my career.
They watch you grow a little bit.
They watched me grow a little bit. Now, Sean ended up having to change careers and move on to something different for him. At the time, that's what he needed to do. Now, when he went to do that, he wanted to give me this couple to take care of them now moving forward. Now, this couple, their name is Perry and Jerry, and they're very, very close to us now, and you're going to see why. But, when you meet people, you're kind of intrigued by them, and you kind of know. Like, I kind of knew, like, I knew Perry was an entrepreneur. I didn't know truly what he did or that much, and I slowly got to know him more. And Jerry's a very kind-hearted person, and at this point now we're all like family. But you become very close with these people.
Sure.
I spent a lot of time with them. I trained them. They each trained maybe 3 times a week separately. You spend a lot of time with them, hanging out, learning. Now, when I ended up making that jump and went to the first gym, our main income for the business was through my following, in a sense. So all the people that followed me was the main money that was flowing for us as we started building these guys and building their businesses inside of our businesses. So building their own book. So now we're networking, meeting other people. We have people coming in, and we're tying it all together. Perry and Jerry followed us. And they kind of watched. They were a part of it. They kind of watched this whole thing go down a little bit, right? Then we moved, like we just said, to Manalapan and Andy's Plaza. So now we're there. We're doing our thing. We're growing. We're doing our stuff. And I'll never forget the day. But it's funny because number one, we were truly in a position where it was like time to make a decision. Like we were trying to figure out how we were going to pay rent. That's how bad it was. I mean, whether it's we have some money owed to us, but you can't get it. Like the landlord's like, "Where's my rent?" No, just wait me a little bit. Like it doesn't really. You have to be on, right?
Yeah.
So we're basically contemplating possibly either shutting down in a sense of maybe relocating back to the Pines because it's more cost efficient. What do we do? So I'll never forget the day where we're kind of sitting there contemplating, and Perry was about to leave the gym, and he comes over and he's like, how you boys doing? And we're like, we're doing all right because we're prideful kids, we're doing good, everything's good. And he's like, no, really, like there was nobody really in the gym. And he's like, no, really, like how you doing? And we're like, we're doing okay, And he's like, I've been watching you guys for a long time and all this stuff. He hits us with some words of wisdom in a sense, and he's like, do you guys want to take this to the next level? And that's for us. That's where it was like wow. They always say you don't search for investors. People will find you.
Yeah.
If it's properly backed, like true people that want to invest their money in people are going to do it because they don't just be like, all right, I'm going to pick you. Like, they don't just randomly pick, They sit back. He was watching. He was assessing. He was seeing our work ethic. Like I said, we showed up early. We left late. We cleaned. One of the big things we pride ourselves on is cleanliness in our facility because it's a sweaty, it could be a dirty industry.
Yeah, sure.
And cleanliness is key. And one of Central State, I will say, is one of the cleanest facilities around. Like, that was one of the big things they were known for. So when I left, I really wanted to uphold, look, I might not have such a beautiful facility like that, but it's clean, right? It's clean, and we got a great product, and we got good people.
Sure.
And we'll keep growing our facility, So from there was basically the time where we were, we basically went from closing up shop and having just about nothing to now being able to take it to the next level due to our hard work, our discipline, and our dedication to what we were striving for.
It wasn't because we were failing. Like we were conducting business great, but that was the issue was we needed to tighten some stuff up. And when what he brought to the table was the next level for him. What he asked, "You ready to take it to the next level?" was tightening that stuff up, making sure you're not losing money here. You're not paying this for no reason. Your insurance is the right price. Your payroll's going out the right way. Saving all those pennies that add up to dollars is what he taught us, and it always sticks with us. You know, as big as we ever will get, and as big as we've grown, we never forget that, and we always go back to the drawing board. And I think that's something to be said for too. You know, it was a great learning point, as I said, for us. It was like that translates into life too. You know what I mean? So 100%. For us again, we're 20, we're turning 21 soon. We're almost 21, and we're learning how to. You know, now we're taking it to the next level, and that's where he came into play, and he sat us down as a team, and everyone was involved. You know, we all went out to eat together. All of our work, our trainers, our coaches, our team. And he presented this to us, and that's when we made that move over to Route 9 and into Freehold to a bigger facility in a more visible space. You know.
Yeah. How long have you been in the Freehold facility?
We're in year 6 right now. It's going to be completion of 6 years in June of this year.
6 years in June at the Freehold facility. How many years total now have you guys been doing it?
2012, so about seven and a half.
About seven and change. Yeah, that's cool. Talk a little bit. We're going to try to wrap things up pretty soon.
Of course, yeah.
Talk a little bit about some of your philosophies in there. About you mentioned a little bit, Matt. Like you want to make people great. You want to kind of take them along for the ride, but that you want to make them the best versions of themselves.
Correct. I believe that this industry, it either is shifting or should be shifting, and that's what we're kind of on the forefront of trying to create, but it's about the mental, physical, and emotional well-being of humans and striving to become the best version of themselves. And I think, and I speak on this because I feel like I went through these changes personally myself. Like, I had to go through different things. I got a thick head. Like, I got to hit my head and maybe I'll hit it again and be like, all right, maybe I'll go this way now. You know, like, I'm a rough learner. Like, I don't mind that. But for me in the beginning, it was about lifting weights. It was about being strong. How strong can I be? Then it was about, I got into boxing and learning how to coach that. And it was about being tough and being able to, can you move around? Can you handle yourself? How hard can you hit? You know, how fast are you? Then you get into like running and moving and speed and all these things. And I think you go through these different stuff where you're like setting marks in numbers and all that. And I think what happens is when all that stuff settles, like what is there now? Now it's about you and life, like your mission and your vision to whoever you're going to be. What's the mark you're going to leave? You know, and I think. Me personally, I was affected by something that really changed my life. At some point, it changed my life in 6 days. I went through I was attacked by a genetic disease that basically took away my vision. Like, I'm legally blind. So in that time, it happened in 6 days pretty quick. It happened like the first 2 days I was like working out and I got like blurred vision and I was like, all right, like I'm just having a sick workout. Like it's cool, no big deal. Then like day like 3 and 4, it kind of like lasted like after the workout for a little while. And it was like weird. By like day 5 and 6, I woke up like it. And I was like, all right, this isn't right. And I didn't want to tell anyone, again, being prideful, like didn't want to tell my parents something's wrong. And eventually, I'll never forget it, but I was driving, like doing the sign of the cross. I took a left turn I shouldn't have, and I almost got hit by somebody. Then I like could have swore I was good, and I wasn't. And that's where I like called my parents. I was like, I have to go to the doctor. Like something's wrong. But I think that really, in that moment, from that point on, it was like almost a year of testing. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. I went to every doctor you could imagine, blood work, CAT scans, MRIs. I got like 3 spinal taps they hit me with, genetic blood tests. Finally was the last one. I had to go to the University of Pennsylvania. It's one of the top neurologists around. They ran more tests. Finally, it gets figured out, and it's a genetic disease. It's called Leber's disease. It's like optic neuropathy. So like my optic nerve is basically like almost dead in a sense. It's still alive enough because I'm not like black blind, but it's like blurry, super blurry.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it's like the signal to the brain. So it's like not glasses. It's not a retinal fix. But for me, I'll never forget the day that I left. So when I finally got the news, I said, so what do I do from here? And he said, well, unfortunately, there's no cure for this. So you just have to live the best, most positive, healthy life that you can. And that's it. And I'm like, and he's like, well, it's a genetic disease. So like, technically it could go either way at any moment. Like I could wake up tomorrow and be all blacked out. Like that's it. Or I could wake up tomorrow and see clear again. So like, that, and that's still just the way it is, So to me, it's like about fulfillment. It's about just living up to my full potential every day. And when that happened, I think it kind of really helped shift me in a sense where it's not just about physical strength. It's about your mental and emotional strength.
Yeah.
And that's really what I had to find. I think in that moment, leaving, seeing my parents, how it affects them, anybody who has a kid, I don't have kids yet, but I know I have a lot of people I'm close with and different things. But if you have a child, I'm sure it would be very
Kids
hard
change.
to watch.
I have a 4-year-old at home, but it changes you a little bit. For the
Yeah.
better. For the better, but
of course.
Oh, 100%.
it changes you.
But to have to, God forbid, have to see your baby.
Yeah.
Here I am. I'm however old I was at the time. I was
18, probably 19.
Yeah, like 18, 19 this happened.
So you're doing all this real quick, not to cut you off. So you're doing all this stuff, going out, getting certified, opening your own business, moving facilities.
Yeah.
And you're going through this Leber's disease and you're legally blind.
Correct. I think the biggest thing to take for everybody is to realize, like, the way I would look at anything is, like, I say this all the time. I see successful people all the time, and I'm like, if they could do it, I could do it. So, like, if I could do it, you could do it. Like, anyone could do it. Like, but I think two of the biggest things that I learned when it happened to me, I always didn't have a lot of patience growing up. I had a little short temper. I was a quick fuse, kind of like that. And I didn't like to ask for help. And it kind of like, it
Calms you down a little bit.
Yeah, but it kind of shifted me. So now if you want to be great, nothing great is created by yourself.
Yeah.
You must be able to ask for help. So what it did was it taught me, number one, it taught me patience right off the bat, real quick, right? Because now here I am. And the first 2 weeks of this, or 3 weeks or so, I was dry heaving. I was puking. My whole equilibrium was off. I was and I'm still working. I was getting driven to work and I would work. I'd figure it out. And I just had to do whatever it take to figure it out. I wasn't going to give up. You know what I mean? It's I got to keep going. But in that time, it really taught me, I could do this, but if I'm going to ask for help, I want to surround myself with people that I love, I care about, and that, it doesn't feel, if I ask him for something, it doesn't feel like anything, because he knows, if he asks me, I'm going to, I got you. You know what I mean? So I think we were able to form such a strong team between us and then the team. Our team now is very strong, and it's we all feed off each other.
Yeah.
But teammanship is key. You're not going to get anything great. And if our mission is to take over the fitness industry with our movement, we can't do it alone. We must create a team. So I think it kind of forced me to learn some of the key things that you must have
to be great. Yeah.
And I think something great to take from this for everybody is learn from don't let anything crazy or drastic have to happen to you. Just learn. If you're watching this, you're already trying to get better. Because if you're listening or watching this, you're trying to already try to get better. You're trying to watch other people and learn. And we're just regular people like everybody else. We're not going to give up. We're gritty.
Yeah.
We're strong. We're resilient. We know what we want. And there's really, at this point, after these life-altering things, nothing's gonna stop me.
Yeah.
And that's why along the way, to see, no big deal. We'll figure it out. This thing that affected me, it's we're fine. We got each other. We're good. We'll get right back on the horse. We'll pick it up.
Yeah.
And I think along the way that taught people around him good lessons too. You know what I mean?
No one's complaining on your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I always explain it to now. It's almost it's effortless now. The things we do. A lot of people always ask, oh, how do you when you guys go here, when you do that? It's it's almost natural now. It's just been part of our life and second nature. But it teaches you not, like he said, learn through him. We've learned through him, and everyone has different things going on. We talk about all the time. Everyone has something, but don't let it be anything more for you to have to be appreciative of life, you know, and to do the things you want to do and do the things you love and surround yourself with those people.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a big thing. You know, he says that a lot, you know, to me especially, that like that forced him to have to you not be that stubborn and interact with different people and utilize them for certain things. And and I think that's been a big part of our journey. And as much as other people, you know, hopefully they're inspired by it and utilize it. At the same time, like he said, don't let it come to something like that to happen to you for you to do the things you want to do in life. You know.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think before we get out of here, just plug your socials, where the facility is in Freehold, all that stuff, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, we're on Route 9 South in Freehold, in New Jersey. Obviously, we're right in the same plaza as it's Barclay Square Plaza. We're right behind the Park 9 Diner there, a couple lights south of the Freehold Mall. Everyone knows where that is. On Instagram, we're Relentless Training. On Twitter, we're Relentless Train. On Facebook, Relentless Training. Our website's relentlesstraining.com. Got a lot of cool stuff on there, some cool videos. We really lay out what we deliver and what our mission is set out. We have all of our team on there. Come check us out. You know, we're our big mission, and over the last year or so, has been getting out to the community. So anyone that's listening now and thinks that, you know, they won't need a hand of us playing a part of anything in any schools, any local organizations, anything, you know, anything you need help with, we'll send our people out there, our team out there, and we'll be out there too. We're here to make a change. You know.
All right, great. Matt, Paul, Relentless Fitness in Freehold. Guys, thank you so much for coming in tonight. I appreciate your time.
Yep. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.